The Arctic Ocean is a vast, largely ice-bound body of water that is difficult to access and study, which is why it's unsurprising that the Arctic has the least amount of scientific data of all the world's oceans. And yet, the Arctic is the ocean most affected by climate change. For Green Edge scientists, research is driven by a singular question.
As the sea ice changes, as the seawater changes, as the life in the ocean changes, all of those things might affect the ability of the Arctic Ocean to remove CO2 from the atmosphere. And if we can understand that a little bit better, then we'll be able to feed that into models that predict what climate change will look like.
Using the latest advances in technology, scientists are able to collect a whole array of data.
Nous utiliserons un tas de nouvelles plateformes autonomes, qu'il s'agisse de sous-marins téléguidés ou de planeurs sous-marins ou de flotteurs profileurs, que nous déploierons un peu partout en baie de Baffin et qui nous permettront d'étendre notre zone d'échantillonnage.
Sensors on the instruments may measure the following: biological data. Two examples would be phytoplankton biomass and oxygen. Geophysical data, light, temperature, and speed currents, to name a few. And observational data, high-resolution cameras on the instruments that film deep under the Arctic Ocean. The first tool in Green Edge's arsenal of technology is the float.
Des flotteurs intelligents qui vont descendre dans la colonne d'eau et qui vont prendre tout plein de mesures.
Floats, or Argo floats, are cylindrical probes that can descend, ascend, and remain stationary, much like a submarine. The float is released for 10-day cycles, diving up to 2,000 meters below the Arctic Ocean and remaining stationary in the water column. Loaded with sensors, the floats measure various biochemical readings.
Avant, les Argos, tout seuls, ne mesuraient que la température et la salinité de l'océan. Le bio-Argo apporte cette composante biologique, mesure de la lumière, de l'oxygène, des particules, du phytoplancton.
Because of ice coverage in the Arctic Ocean, scientists have adapted the float to sense temperature variations, which indicates ice above as it rises to the surface, putting the brakes on a possible collision course. The modified polar float can avoid ice and collect valuable data autonomously, sometimes for up to 5 years. Looking like a cross between a torpedo and an airplane, the glider is able to remotely communicate data while checking in with satellites every so often to reveal its position. Once launched, the glider will follow a zigzag course in the water column up to distances of 25 kilometers a day, autonomously, measuring such water properties as temperature, salinity, chlorophyll A, nutrients, and oxygen. ROVs, remotely operated vehicles, are incredibly useful robots used in the punishing depths of the Arctic. Equipped with cameras, these robots do jobs that would be impossible for their human operators. Some ROVs can dive up to an incredible 3,000 meters, giving scientists a frontline view on the world beneath the Arctic ice.
Mesurer tout plein de variables comme la salinité, la température, mais aussi la fluorescence qui est une indication de la quantité d'algues. Même utiliser des sonars sur ces sous-marins-là qui vont mesurer la présence ou non de poissons et de zooplancton.
The Rosette may look like a jet engine with its outer casing removed, but what you're looking at is 24 specialized bottles based on a design invented over 100 years ago by a Norwegian oceanographer that are still very much of use today.
Qui nous prend plein de données en continu sur la colonne d'eau en fonction de la profondeur, oxygène, température, salinité, il y en a comme, je sais pas, 25 à peu près, et qui nous permet de ramener l'eau du fond.
With the ports sealed on the sampling bottles and the rosette brought back up to the surface, scientists have a perfectly preserved sample of algae and nutrients taken at the right depth, temperature, and water composition. When you can't preserve the conditions of zooplankton sampled at 1,000 meters below the sea in a lab on board a ship, you take the lab to the zooplankton.
Ici au laboratoire, on a développé des caméras sous-marines qui peuvent aller jusqu'à 6 mm de fond. Et donc ces caméras sous-marines filment et détectent tous les objets qui sont présents dans le faisceau lumineux.
The Loki captures and filters organisms into a high-resolution camera that can take pictures in situ at preferred depths. Another invaluable tool is the Imaging Flow Cytobot, a contraption that combines a laser with a powerful microscope as well as a high-resolution camera for observational data. Scientists can use this powerful eye into the tiny world of phytoplankton to type different species by observing characteristic flagella.
Au lieu de faire de la taxonomie au niveau du microscope, on a une banque énorme d'images de phytoplancton qui sont prises une à une. Donc, tout ce qui est passé dans la tuyauterie est analysé et pris en photo. Donc ça, c'est génial d'avoir ça en mer. Live, on a l'image, le phytoplancton qu'on ne voit pas à l'œil nu.
The COPS, or Compact Optical Profiling System, is a device that measures the amount and intensity of light that passes through the ice and the water column, an important factor that affects the phytoplankton bloom.
In the Arctic, we have the problem that we are dealing with an ice sheet. With ocean color sensors, we cannot see what is happening beneath. And it appears that there is a lot happening and we are missing it. So that's why optical instruments on autonomous profilers would provide a much better coverage than satellite sensors.
Scientists are working hard on developing instruments that can be used any time of year, probing areas once thought impossible under the foreboding Arctic Ocean.
Donc pendant toute cette expédition, nous allons déployer toutes sortes d'instruments pour mesurer les propriétés physiques et chimiques de l'eau, de manière à décrire l'évolution de tout ce système entre le début et la fin de la floraison.